All right, guys, today we have Nvidia earnings. It's the Super Bowl of earnings. Today, Nvidia is flying up right now. Look at Nvidia up here, guys. It's a crazy move for Nvidia. All the way back up to almost $200 a share today. The rest of the market is following suit here. Nvidia at 197s as we speak. 197s. Microsoft also flying up pretty big as well here. Are we lagging here on my end? We shouldn't be. Clean. Frames are good. No drop frames. Yeah. Again, Nvidia at 197s right now. Are we laggy or is it just me, dude? Hold on. There we go. All right, we're good. What's up? It's Bad Z, Ricky, Demetrius, Mexican Taker, It's Bad Pawn, BA, Sam, Mama Pawn, Kane. What's up, guys? Good morning. Good afternoon. Hey, question real quick, guys. Is it lagging for you or is it just me? Like, is it lagging for you or is it just me? Let me know. I don't know why the settings on this PC here. Lower it. We should be good, though. Right. I'll lower the bit rate a little bit, see if that fixes it. All good here? Okay, so yeah, let's get a timer up here. We'll put a timer up. Again, Nvidia earnings release after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. After 4 p.m. Again, Nvidia has made a rocket move today with most microchips, tech stocks. Again, all the way up to 197s right now. 197s. Yeah, I'm gonna have to exit out of some stuff here. Maybe I just have too much stuff up. I also have I've been working on Claude in the background, doing stuff here. Alright. Fine, alright, good. Alright, guys, so yeah, Nvidia. This is Nvidia's recent earnings history here, guys. The big story of the day. Again, my music sounds like I'm fighting vampires in the 90s. But yeah, today is their Q4 fiscal year 2026, their January quarter, and they will issue guidance for Q1 fiscal year 2027 on the call. That's a pretty big thing. Nvidia's fiscal year ends in late January, so that's what this is. Again, Nvidia is doing fourth quarter fiscal 2026 earnings here. And again, this is the AI print. This is the biggest AI story, obviously, of the week, probably of the month. Nvidia is the bellwether for the entire AI CapEx cycle. And so, you know, we're going to get a lot of movement, most likely, if we get big numbers, if we get bad numbers. We'll get some movement. Option market, honestly, is a little bit lower in their implied volatility. Options market is only implying a 5% move either way on the print. You know, I think we have to look at Nvidia's gains on the day to see what's going to happen, you know, in that context. But yeah, I got to change this music. A little bit too much here. Yeah, I'm going to do a poll real quick here. Does Nvidia beat or miss their Q4 earnings today? Beat or miss? Vote on the poll. Again, I don't know if YouTube is kind of glitching out right now, but it's kind of weird. Again, look at Nvidia right here, though. Again, let me get the timer up. Again, Nvidia earnings drop right after 4 p.m. They're technically scheduled for 4:20 Eastern Standard Time. How much time we got? We got 49. All right, guys. So yeah, taking a look at some of their numbers here. Okay, let's take a look. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to figure out a way where to put the timer here. I'll leave the timer in the top left corner, actually. But yeah. So here is their history of quarters in terms of beating and raising. Their last. This is quarter 4, and so their last quarter 4 is going to be right here. And they did 89 cents. Yes, 89 cents today. Again, I believe they're expecting like 152 is what I saw last year. 152. Yeah, I can hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We have 45 minutes left. See, dude, I don't know what it is. Like, my screen's all blurry. It's automatically going to 280, 720. 720p is fine. It maintains that. But yeah, looking at their last quarter 1, or quarter 4, technically, it's 89 cent EPS, 294 on the trailing 12-month amount. And again, today, the street is expecting monster numbers, and this is in a market that has been really, really strict with stocks lately in earnings season. You know, this is the last earnings season. Stocks have beaten, raised, and gone down dramatically in some areas. And so maybe this is smart money getting baked into it here. Like if we look at the moves on the day, maybe this is smart money getting baked in with these big pushes all day. Maybe that's what this is. Or maybe we're setting up to correct big. You know, sometimes leading into these big earnings, we're dropping a lot ahead of it. This is one of those situations where we're going up big in front of these earnings. The whole market is very green. Again, looking at our poll, 80% think Nvidia is going to beat today out of 60 plus votes. 80%, 20% think they're going to miss. Again, we'll see. We'll see. Again, we dropped all the way down to the 200 exponential here on Nvidia. Let's see, it holds in the NASDAQ itself is very green on the day too. NASDAQ up to 25.3s. All-time high on the NASDAQ is like 25.6 or so. Or 26.350, I think, or something like that. It's like 26.350 is the all-time highs. And so again, we will see what we do here for Nvidia earnings. But now it's time. It should be a pretty big report. Look at the Nvidia now currently breaking down. It's under 196s here, under the 200 exponential, falling down slightly on Nvidia. Look at this drop. Again, we do see some breakdowns here. Look at this drop. Let me see if there's any breaking news. I don't think there is. But let me see. Again, Meta and AMD are interesting as well today. Again, Nvidia's upcoming earnings crucial for U.S. markets. Investors focus on an AI outlook, revenue forecast, and CEO guidance to gauge tech sector sentiment. If we look at Earnings Whisper here, again, here's Earnings Whisper. Earnings Whisper has Nvidia sitting up here at 152 EPS on 65.56 billion in revenue. We also have Salesforce releasing today. They are expected at about 305 EPS on 11.17 billion. We have Snowflake releasing 27 cent EPS expected, 1.25 billion in revenue. We also have Synopsys, IONQ Zoom, although Zoom's kind of fallen off as a company, I think. C3 AI is also reporting today, and we're going to cover all of this when it drops. But the big main event today is obviously Nvidia here. So, again, we'll see what Nvidia does. Scheduled for 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. See what happens. Again, 80%. Does Nvidia beat and raise today, guys? Let me know. If we look at odds makers today, if we look at like Polymarket right now. Again, I think a 5% implied volatility for Nvidia is pretty low. Again, odds makers right now, if we look at this here, odds makers are showing we're at basically $200 a share. The end of February, there is a 45% chance Nvidia closes over 200 by the end of February. So people are expecting good things from Nvidia today. The only problem with that is that if we don't show crazy good numbers, you know, that can cause some negative momentum here, you know. Yeah, so the Nvidia numbers are released after 4 p.m. I think they're technically scheduled for 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Again, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. And the call, I believe, is at 5 p.m. Let me see. Yeah, the actual call. The actual call is at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, as I expected. Again, Nvidia in there. Going to the moon. CoreWeave, is it a good time to enter? I mean, I know CoreWeave went up a lot today, but it kind of pulled back some as well. CoreWeave's had a good couple days. But again, this is kind of the Super Bowl of the stock market. It's kind of, again, I think it's got less hype than it has in the past. Like in the past, this thing has gotten a lot of hype, and we've had some crazy big movements. It's kind of died down a little bit, I would say. But on the day itself, again, Nvidia having a great day here. And really, if we look at the last few weeks, Nvidia has flown up here over the last few weeks. Made some big moves too. So, again, we also had news earlier that the CME has reported that natural gas trading was halted and resumed at 145. We also had metals get halted completely, and we're not open earlier this morning by the CME. Again, I am in Microsoft right now. Remember, here's Microsoft. Microsoft up to almost $400 a share here, $3.99. So Microsoft's doing great. Also, you guys red or green today? Let me know in chat right now. Are you guys red or green? Nvidia, I think there's a chance. I mean, even if we get the 5% implied volatility expectation, and there's a big chance it breaks $200 a share, but I am watching $200. I think $200 is a major milestone level that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to. And so $200, I'm watching it for sure. Hold on, I got to exit out of something here. My bad, guys. There we go. But yeah, Nvidia has made this big move here. $200 a share. Should be interesting. And look at Microsoft. They get $400 a share on Microsoft right here. It's basically at that level now. So it's been honestly a crazy big day for tech. Tech has performed very, very good today. Hey, thank you. Appreciate the love. Thanks so much. All right, so I see green, red, but small red. I think it's hard not to make money on the long side today. I really do. I think I could throw a dart at any point and buy long and probably make money today. So I think it's a hard day not to make money. So it's a hard day not to make money on the long side. Again, markets are swinging, but again, Microsoft has pushed up to almost $400. Nvidia still needs to break this 197 level. I am watching the high of the day at 197, but yeah. Again, I think it's a hard day not to make money with Nvidia earnings today. Intrinsic is apparently joining Google to speed up the future of AI. So I did see this news just drop. Option chain is greener than Christmas. This is going to go up after earnings and down next week. $197 plus 2 or plus 7%. 210. Would it be 211? Right? Is my math off? Am I tired? I've been over here programming, to be honest, for the last hour. Is my math off? Would it be 211 technically? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. All right, guys, 40 minutes left. 40 minutes. 210.79. Yeah. I guess you're right. Again, I tried to do the math in my head. You know, I got 211 in my head, but it's probably some decimal percentage since we're not exactly at $200. So close enough. We're close enough. I'll take it. We're both right. Anyways, Microsoft at 399s. And again, the big stories of the day, let's talk about. Reuters is saying Nvidia's results are AI market's biggest test amid all the late worries here. So again, Nvidia earnings today is going to be the big question mark in terms of how the AI tech market moves forward this year. In a lot of people's minds, I think Nvidia is the mecca of AI in this regard, especially AI hardware. And yeah, again, revenue, they're expecting roughly 65 to 66 billion, which is up about 66 to 68% year over year. They only did 39.3 billion last year. Again, we looked at the EPS graph for Nvidia. Let's take a look at a revenue graph. All right, guys. Here, sorry. The site I normally use is now making me pay for it, but I'll go ahead and pay for it just because you're welcome, guys. I have a calculator, new technology. Oh man, very new tech, huh? All right, so anyways, here's Nvidia's revenue graph. All right, so this is the Nvidia's revenue graph. You guys can see this. And Nvidia's quarterly revenue last time showed up at 57 billion. Again, their last quarter four was 39 billion, 39.33 billion. All right, today, again, they are expecting, if we look at the expectation here for Nvidia, today Nvidia is expecting about 65 to 66 billion in revenue. And so, I mean, they're up a decent percentage year over year in that regard. Again, they're expecting, I'm showing 65.56 billion on Earnings Whisper. But again, you can see their last time was right here. So if we do show up at this point, we'll be about right here in this trend graph. There's still a nice quarter for Nvidia. It's a terrible candle looking, but again, we'll be about right here. Again, we'll see if it happens. We'll see if it happens. Nvidia's current PE ratio, I think, is also relevant in valuation fears. And Nvidia's current PE ratio is about 47 to 49. You know, it's not a crazy high PE ratio relative to some other tech stocks. But obviously it's a little bit higher than normal or what we see for normal. So, hey, but yeah, thank you for becoming a member. It's appreciate it. Thanks so much. Again, Intrinsic joining Google to speed up the future of physical AI. We're getting close here. We're getting close. I do see some kind of glitches today. I think maybe it's my computer. But again, Nvidia drops their Q4 earnings at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific. So again, Microsoft testing $400 a share right now. Look at Microsoft up here. Interesting. $197s. Again, so the S&P Global preview says Nvidia earnings, consensus numbers, and data center focus. Yeah, so is AI CapEx still accelerating or flattening? Is the question too. And another big question is that good for markets right now? Markets kind of got fearful of, was it Google or was it Amazon's super high CapEx? Amazon, I think it was like 205 billion. Freaked everybody out, made markets go down that day. So CapEx spending is the big question mark. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there might be a glitch on YouTube right now. Like I'm showing poor latency. Good entry for a long, maybe. Again, I bought Amazon the other day here, and if you look at where I bought Amazon, my average price on Amazon is what? My average price on Amazon is $197. Amazon's at $210 right now. So I bought Amazon way down here somewhere. Yeah, good entry for a long. Yeah, we'll see. Again, it's kind of a. Hold on, let me check something. All right, I just wanted to check something. Bitcoin, if you take a look at it here. Again, Bitcoin has had a crazy good day as well. Bitcoin, the last time I looked at it, was up over 70,000 or over 69,000 is what I remember. Did I imagine that, or did that really happen here, guys? Okay, Bitcoin at 68,000 got up to 69.5. Yeah. So it's pulled back a little bit from where I talked about it, but Bitcoin dipping down as well. Like every other stock is done. ADA having a good pump is one of my blue chips, alt holdings. Is it time to buy Nvidia? Is the question I'm going to ask the chat right now. Again, we got the first poll. We got about 150 votes on it. 78% say it's a beat. 22% say it's a miss. Again, we have 30 minutes until Nvidia releases the closing bell. Nvidia earnings come out after 4 p.m. You can see a timer on the bottom left side of the chart. Again, we have about 30 minutes left until the closing bell. They're technically scheduled for 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So technically, if we go by that margin, we have about 50 minutes left. But the problem with this is that a lot of the time companies will schedule a specific time frame for earnings, and then when it comes time to actually release, they are not the most accurate. So they'll schedule it for 4:30 and drop it at 4:01, and leave everybody kind of sitting there. And so, no, today's just a relief rally, not a full reversal. No, Nvidia's flat. Oh, Nvidia's flat over the last 5 minutes. And leading into earnings, it might be volatile, it might be flat. There's not really a consistent trend in that way for most of this stuff. So we don't really get a consistent trend in that way. All right, look at this drop on Nvidia though. So Nvidia just fell to 196.5, 65. The volume weighted average price is down at 196.20s here. And we are seeing some corrections right now. in tech. Although Alphabet's pushing back up after having a really bad day. One that's doing good right now is Microsoft here. Look at Microsoft. Almost a 401s right now. Again, on the call, you probably want to pay attention to, well, Nvidia talks about Blackwell chip demand. I think that's relevant. H200, ramp up, inference versus training, exports in China. China, we've seen some back and forth news. I might take a little bit off of Microsoft here. In China, we've seen back and forth news about them. I'm gonna take a little piece off here. About them restricting Nvidia purchases and imports. And so we're gonna see if they talk about that at all, and we'll see what the numbers for Nvidia looks like. We don't have macro momentum to back up and run now. Get Nvidia earnings in 30 minutes, chat, 30 minutes, if they come out on time. If. All right, so again, I think there's a couple big stories that you want to pay attention to for Nvidia earnings today. There's a couple big ones. The first one is which side wins. AI fatigue, so worries about valuation fears, overvaluations in tech, or whether AI super cycle. Which side of buyers and sellers and worries is going to win this. Wall Street is treating Nvidia as a live stress test for the entire AI market today. And they're doing this because it powered a huge share of the market rally today. Again, Nvidia at 197s. It closed yesterday at about 192s. And so percentage wise, it's up 2-3% just today alone. Or just from where it closed yesterday. Now with Nvidia's earnings coming out after the closing bell, Nvidia now has to prove profits are still compounding fast enough to justify the super high capex we've seen in a lot of others. Hyperscalers are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in AI infrastructure spend this year and next, but investors are skeptical. And again, it's something that we saw during was it Amazon? I think it was Amazon's release. During the Amazon release, we saw skepticism. Markets reacted negatively. So any hint of slower growth or softer guidance could hit not just Nvidia, but the whole tech market, Mag 7, basically. Another big focus tonight is on whether demand is broadening beyond a handful of mega AI players into a more diversified, durable customer base. Right? So a lot of this has been centered to a couple big names, but analysts want to hear about multi-year contracts, good AI deals, enterprise workloads, so they can figure out if this is a real structural shift in computing or just front-loading GPU, money. Again, Nvidia talking about its next generation product cycle, Blackwell GPUs, Vera Rack scale systems, the future of Rubin. They want to see proof that the company can keep pushing performance. The street wants clarity on the Blackwell ramp and how that looks like, how customers might shift budgets to these new platforms and more. But the biggest story of the day, guys, is going to be guidance. Again, specifically 2027 guidance. We're in quarter 4 right now for Nvidia earnings, but judging by their fiscal year. And again, the big story is going to be guidance. I think Nvidia has to have a beat and raise scenario. Again, its expected EPS is 152. Its expected revenue is 65 to 66 billion. But the big numbers is guidance. Guidance is going to move Nvidia more than anything else just because it's future projections versus historical projections or historical numbers. Guidance is future projections. The street was looking for fiscal year quarter 1 revenue guidance around the low 70s billions, with good at roughly 71 to 72 billion, in a bull case close to the mid 70s. Again, so originally it was 71 to 72 billion, and that was considered good. And then some analysts basically came out saying they think we're going to hit 75 plus billion in guidance. And so I don't know, man. What I worry here is that we're being too strict. We're expecting too much too early. from some of these AI names. And again, I'm just worried that if we do not keep up with that, what's that going to look like, guys? What's that going to look like? Is that going to be bad? The problem is Nvidia is near its ceiling if it doesn't have access to the Chinese market. Nvidia is about to overtake Germany, approximately 5.3 trillion GDP. Yeah, that's probably true. Again, DeepSeek withholds upcoming model from Nvidia and AMD, according to sources. And so I did see this news that China AI Labs DeepSeek is withholding upcoming models from Nvidia and AMD, according to sources. And so I do see this news breaking right here. And that might be why Nvidia has kind of come back down a little bit over the last few minutes here. It's not a huge drop. It's up a lot on the day, and Microsoft still seems to be holding support at 400. Other stocks that we have today is CRM. We have Salesforce earnings. And Salesforce is up pretty big percentages on the day as well here. Salesforce is up to 191. We also have Snowflake here, SNOW, releasing after the closing bell. It's up to 170s. So a lot of big strength today. But again, the big breaking news I just saw is that DeepSeek is withholding upcoming models from Nvidia and AMD, according to sources. And so that news just dropped maybe, like 10 minutes ago. Nvidia is about to overtake Germany. Also, again, news earlier, Intrinsic is joining Google to speed up the future of physical AI. We have 23 minutes here, 23 minutes. Will Nvidia save the stock market, guys? Again, I did a poll earlier. Quarter 4 earnings today, 77% think they're going to beat, 24%, 23% think they're going to miss. So will Nvidia save the stock market? We've had a lot of fears in AI. Will we get past those fears today? Judson will say yes to that. Maybe. I only care about the top price today. Circle is going crazy. I think Circle did have some wild movement earlier here. 82.20s. So Circle is up 33% today, roughly, right around 30+%. Just looking at the map. Yeah, about 30% gains. Circle. Maybe a little bit more than that. So Circle is up. Alphabet is up. Again, we have Salesforce and Snowflake earnings. Salesforce and Snowflake earnings after the close. Cardano having a good pump. Is it really? Yeah, Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin is up today as well. Over 69,000. Might overtake 70 again if you look at Bitcoin. We have about 20 minutes until the closing bell. Again, it's technically scheduled for 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have about 20 minutes. Microsoft, guys. Look at Microsoft. Powering up into the closing bell. You get almost 401s right now. Honestly, it's a little bit less hyped though for an Nvidia earnings day. So it really is. It's a little bit less hyped. All right, so Nvidia just jumped back up, but again, that DeepSeek news I don't think is good for them. There's a lot of competitiveness with us in China. What it is. All right, guys, and again, Microsoft having a big rebound day. Was at 380s basically to start the day. Again, if I look at guidance expectations. That's what I'm curious about. Again, originally the street was looking for quarter 127 revenue guidance, low 70 billion with good roughly 71 to 72s. But now analysts have put out the 75 billion expectation, which is strange. And again, if we don't beat that, which again, if we look at odds makers here, let me find Nvidia. Again, 91% likely that Nvidia beats quarterly earnings, but honestly, this is not as high as some of the other stocks we've seen this quarter. Again, 93%. I've seen some at 97, 98% this quarter. Nvidia only has a 93% chance. And we can see how this has moved. It was at 94 or higher. It was at 95% a couple hours ago. It is now at 92.5, 92% likely that Nvidia beats their quarter 4 earnings. So it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. Here, sorry, I stopped the music for a second. I want to see something. There we go. All right, we'll see if AI can keep up with it. All right, we're up 197s on Nvidia, back up to 197s. Yeah, I really do think there's a glitch today with YouTube. My YouTube's running weird. It's running weird. %92 likely. I could buy some more. Should I buy more Nvidia? Is that too risky right now? I mean, I'm up a lot on the day here in Netflix and Nvidia, but PayPal also doing really well. PayPal went up a crazy amount, so a lot of people are hoping the software worries are done also here. I'd probably just buy the shares if I do, to be honest. Here, let me see. I know it's a risky thing, but we'll buy a little bit. We're already green on the day, so we can take some here. I want to see Nvidia hit $200 a share, but there's also risk involved, you know. So I want to see it hit $200 a share, but there's risk for sure. And again, Nvidia earnings technically scheduled for 420, but they could release anytime. I traded Nvidia for Germany. My YouTube is acting up for days now. I wonder if people are using chat to hack it. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Again, YouTube's acting kind of strange for me today, to be honest. Nvidia pushed it back up to 197, so we did buy the dip. Let's see if that works for us. And again, I'll put the breaking news part up. Again, Nvidia expects 152 EPS on rev of 65, 66 billion is what we're expecting today. And so guidance, we'll put guidance numbers up as well, just so people can understand what they're expecting for guidance. But again, their guidance numbers, again, for quarter 1 2027 were low 7s. I'm going to call it 71, but some analysts have it all the way up to 71. I'll put it 71 to 75 billion. Because again, that's really what some analysts are putting it at. And again, I don't think that expectation is necessarily good. But like 7? Yeah, maybe. I need some caffeine. Hold on, guys. Let me get some. Yeah, my YouTube's acting up. It's been acting up for a few. Hey, can you bring me one of those herba mates? All right, thank you. Yeah, I see you guys. Where's gold at right now? I know metals are completely frozen for a minute here. Get metals down at 5180s. Gold down to 5180s. Thank you. All right, guys. Sorry. A daughter got, these are my daughters. I don't know how much caffeine these things have though. 150 milligrams. Alphabet's rip it up too. Almost a guarantee of an Nvidia spike after the report, even if only. Again, Nvidia earnings technically scheduled to come out in 33 minutes. 33 minutes. Again, Salesforce, Snowflake. Wait, I forgot I bought Nvidia. Should I add more to it? I think so. It's small position, so it's alright. Again, as long as we don't get a big correction here. Yeah, we got 11 minutes left. The implied volatility today, again, only 5%. How big of a move you guys think this will end up being? The implied volatility from options is only about 5%, which is actually kind of small versus some other reports that we get from Nvidia. Like, we've had crazy high implied volatility numbers before. So the implied volatility today is actually a little bit light. It's not crazy big versus some of the other Nvidia earnings. So it's not a guarantee that we're going to get big numbers here today. All right, chat. We have 11 minutes until the close. I think it will spike both directions at some point. All-time highs, but no idea where it will settle. Plus 2.5%. Yeah, I mean, that's not a crazy big move, to be honest, for Nvidia. Again, just to put this in perspective, Nvidia today, just since the opening bell, Nvidia's up 0.5%, maybe 1%. Since yesterday's close, it's up a couple percent since then. And so a 2.5 move from earnings is not a crazy big move, especially in reference to Nvidia. Nvidia can move a lot. I don't think it moved a lot its last earnings call, though, to be honest. All right, we have the market on close incoming as well. I think it'll spike both directions at some point, all-time highs. But no idea where it will settle. Yeah, and again, look at the Nvidia. Some levels that I'm specifically watching. Like, I'm going to clear a lot of these old levels out. But some levels I'm watching for Nvidia for this specific call. Let's take a look at them. One of them is $200, obviously. I think a lot of people are watching $200. Psychological level. Big hold dollar number. I think people are just going to be paying attention to $200 a share for Nvidia. Again, so $200, relevant milestone level, hold dollar number. People are going to be paying attention to it. Just psychologically, people are going to watch $200 a share for Nvidia. But Below us, you have the previous closing price right here. You can see it's already on the chart. It's at about 192.85, so we'll call it 193. But this previous closing price is where it closed yesterday. And so that's relevant. Obviously, I think we can look at the high of the day, but I think if Nvidia has big numbers here, you know, it's not gonna. This is too close to where we are now. I'm gonna look at some of these lows from the last few days, specifically around 185. I think 185 is probably a relevant level to pay attention to. 186. We have some lows around 186 over the past few days, so I'm gonna watch that level as well. I'll expand the width here so you can actually see it. But then we have the all-time highs, which I believe are what, 214s, 212s. All-time highs, 212s, 19 technically. So we have this level up here, which is the all-time high. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere near this, but all-time highs on Nvidia, 212s. Relevant to pay attention to. I'm looking at these levels here and then whole dollars in between to see what happens. I think it'll spike both directions. 0.5. Jensen will say yes to that. Video about to overtake Germany's GDP. Yeah, the current market cap for Nvidia is almost 5 trillion. So we have a really, really good day today. Maybe it does. But again, almost 5 trillion, 4.8 trillion roughly if we round up. 4.8 trillion. It's got about 36,000 employees. But again, there's a couple big stories. I'm going to go over them again with 7 minutes until the closing bell. The biggest stories is AI super cycle versus AI fatigue. Wall Street treating this as a live stress test for the entire AI trade after powering a huge share of the market rally. Nvidia now has to prove profits are still compounding fast enough to justify the high capex in a lot of other areas in AI. So that's going to be a big story. Again, whether demand is broadening beyond a bunch of like centralized big tech numbers, or is it going to stay pretty consolidated to just a couple big names? Investors are going to watch Nvidia in its next gen product cycle. Blackwell GPUs, Verorex, Scale Systems, again, all pretty relevant. Nvidia's starting to fall back down here. Here's the volume weighted average price. I will add a little bit more to this here just because I can, and then I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Volume weighted average price is right there. Let's see if Nvidia can bounce. But again, the biggest story today. Can Nvidia beat its 71 to 75 billion guidance numbers that we've seen from analysts? 71 to 7 billion Q1 2027 guidance is going to be the single biggest story today. It's going to be the single biggest influence on whether Nvidia really moves here. Yeah. Pop out this chat. Beats that easily? You think it beats 71 to 75 billion guidance? I hope it does. I genuinely hope it does. Again, we're starting to drop a little bit leading into the earnings report, though. And again, Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic warns that growing doubts about the Fed's independence are a major concern amid political pressure from the president. Again, Jim Cramer just posted this tweet right here. You guys, Jim Cramer just posted this tweet right here. And he might not be wrong about this. Again, we'll see what Nvidia does today, but he might not be wrong. Again, we'll see. He might not be wrong about this, guys. I don't know. Nvidia is still falling down here. Look at this drop. Nvidia now under the volume weighted average price. I'm not going to add more to it here. I'll probably just wait. You know, I'd really hate to get flushed out right before some big rally from earnings. I think the dollar index goes way up next. Yeah, baby. All right, guys, we have 4 minutes left. Again, Nvidia could technically release any time after the closing bell, but they're scheduled for 4:20 p.m. Eastern. 4:20. So. Do we bounce back up here? Again, I asked the poll. 80% say beat, 20% say miss. Could have waited to buy. We can have fun with it. I'm looking for it to bounce at the VWAP, which it kind of is right now. Again, looking at their EPS graphs here for Nvidia. Nvidia revenue. Last quarter for... Hopefully this auto decreases. Last quarter for they did 39.3 billion. Today, again, they're expecting 65 to 66 billion. And so again, last quarter they did 39.3 billion. Today they're expecting 65 to 66 billion. If we look at EPS, yeah, we're going to cover all of them when they drop Salesforce, CRM, and more. So it's not just Nvidia today, it's Salesforce, Snowflake, Zoom, I think. What else do we have? We have Salesforce, Snowflake, Zoom. I think we have C3 AI. I haven't really heard that name lately. But, yeah. 3 minutes left, chat. All right, here we go, guys. 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. You can see the timer right here. I'll put the timer up. Markets are falling here, though, ahead of Nvidia earnings today. Get Disney Plus subscribers in the US get 24/7 live stream access to ABC stations. The imbalance did show up. I'll put the imbalance up. Yeah, we're getting a huge sell-off. I'm probably gonna... I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Hold on. You don't love to see it. You don't love to see it. Look at this drop. 196 is here. And is Microsoft doing the same thing? I'm in Microsoft as well. Kind of. Still pretty green on the day here, but you don't love to see it. All right, guys, 1 minute left. 1 minute. Hodl, Salesforce will lay a turd during the call. Yeah. Bitcoin is not. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin got up to 69.5s, back down to 61s. All right, Chad, here we go. Closing bell is here. Here's Microsoft. Let's put Nvidia up here. Again, we have Salesforce, Snowflake, all releasing at the closing bell. 30 seconds left. Again, the schedule of releases here, just to give you guys the actual schedule here. Nvidia scheduled for 4:20. Salesforce expected right at the closing bell in 20 seconds. The Trade Desk expected right at the closing bell in 20 seconds. Snowflake expected at 4:05. IONQ at 4:05. Synopsys at 4:05. ARRY at 4:05. So, again, Nvidia technically scheduled for 4:20. We'll see if we get that or not. There's the closing bell, guys. If it's late, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed if it's late. All right, so again, Nvidia, big price action movement here. All right, let's wait. Get nothing on Salesforce yet. Watching this price action here. There's the close. Nvidia's jumping a little bit though. Look at it jump at 195. Again, it's technically scheduled for 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch it jump. We're watching Salesforce. Snowflake hasn't really moved yet either. I just kind of got to wait for this now. Okay, there goes Salesforce. Salesforce whippy up to 198s right now. 198s for Salesforce. So Salesforce looks like it is out right now. Yeah, so Salesforce looks like it is out. Salesforce ended up showing up. $177 to $199 outlook. EPS. Salesforce ended up showing 381 versus 305 expected. It beat by 25% in revenue of 11.19 billion versus or 11.2 billion versus 11.198 billion. So a slight beat in revenue and a 25% beat in EPS. 305 versus 381 for Salesforce. A big beat in EPS numbers. EPS again 381 versus 305 for Salesforce. 381 versus 305. 11.2 billion in revenue versus 11.19 expected. So slight beat in revenue. It wasn't a crazy big beat though here for revenue for Salesforce, and that's probably why it retraced a little bit. Again, its guidance showed up. Fiscal year revenue guidance. Again, I'll put these numbers up on screen or in the chat for Salesforce. And again, we'll see how this makes markets react. Again, its revenue was basically flat in terms of expectations. So again, here's the Salesforce numbers right now. It's starting to actually drop. The first move was the wrong move. It's down to 187s here. So again, Salesforce is out, but it is not reacting well now. Next one is Snowflake. But look at Salesforce drop. Again, Salesforce Q4 revenue 11.2. They expected 11.19. Guidance numbers for Salesforce, fiscal year revenue guidance 45.8 to 46.2 billion versus 46 expected. So on the lower end of guidance as well for Salesforce. So again, it's flat revenue, lower end of guidance for Salesforce, although it was a record fourth quarter for 2026. Again, Q1 adjusted EPS range 311 to 313. Q1 revenue range 11.03 to 11.08 expected. So again, I think the story here is a little bit lower guidance numbers, way better than expected margins. EPS is margins. Earnings per share is what the company does in terms of margins. Way better than expected margins here. But their guidance numbers disappointed, I think, for Salesforce. So far we have negative reactions for it. Again, the other one is Snowflake. I think Snowflake drops at 2:05 or at 4:05 p.m. Yeah, so Pawn Research, there's definitely something going on with the comment section right now. The chat is definitely a little buggy today by YouTube. And so it's not just me. I was worried. Like, that was weird. Like, we have 11 or 1,200 people here, but something's going on with the comments. So, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Something's off with the comments. Anyway, still waiting for Nvidia and Snowflake. Again, Snowflake technically scheduled for 4:05 p.m., so about 1 minute left until it drops. But again, Salesforce, BDPS, flat revenue, slightly lower guidance for revenue than expected. And yeah, that's what we got so far. Salesforce is kind of flat as well. Nvidia is not moving yet. No, Nvidia drops. Technically, they're scheduled for 4:20 Eastern Standard Time. So we got about 15 minutes, technically, until they're scheduled to come out. And again, we're waiting for Jensen to speak on the call as well. I think the call is incredibly important for Nvidia. All right, look at Snowflake just rip up randomly all of a sudden, too. Broke out of that range. All right, Salesforce starting to pump here, 179. Or no, Snowflake, I'm sorry. Snowflake is out. I thought it was Salesforce. Snowflake is out. Snowflake ended up posting here, guys. All the way up to 182s right now for Snowflake. Snowflake 35 cents. They expected 3 cents a share. Or no, that's wrong. I'm sorry. AMD is going to buy 150 million of Nutanix. Okay, Snowflake posted 32-cent EPS versus 27 cents expected. They beat it about 20%. Revenue showed up at 1.284 billion versus 1.25 billion expected. So Snowflake beat EPS and revenue by small margins, basically. But again, it's reacting well to this. It's reacting well. Snowflake up to 175. Kind of an underwhelming reaction so far. But Snowflake beat EPS and revenue by small margins. Again, Snowflake posted 1.23 billion in fourth quarter, representing 30% growth. Synopsys is also out, so Synopsys just dropped. Snowflake up to 180s right now. Yeah, there's Synopsys. I'm waiting to get Snowflake's numbers, but again, I already told you Snowflake's numbers were better than expected EPS and revenue by small margins. Again, Snowflake ended up posting 32-cent EPS versus 27 cents expected, 1.284 billion versus 1.25 billion expected. So lower than expected here for Snow. Or better than expected for Snow on both, but not a huge amount. A lot of people are just waiting on Nvidia in 13 minutes here, though, guys. You can Snow up to 182s right now, 182. And look, Salesforce and Snowflake. Let me see Salesforce here. Salesforce is down to under red. Salesforce is now technically red on the day. It's at 185s right now, chat. 185s for Salesforce. It was all the way up at 200s for a little while afterwards. 185s. Again, Snow beat EPS by a small margin. And I think that's all the other big ones. Again, Snow ended up posting 32 cents versus 27 cents. Again, 1.28 billion versus 1.26 expected. So a slight beat in revenue and EPS. Again, 733 customers with trailing 12-month product revenue greater than 1 million, 27% year-over-year growth, 740 net new customer additions, remaining performance obligations of 9.77 billion, 42% year-over-year growth, retention rate of 125% for net revenue for Snowflake. Yeah, the trade desk also released here, and they are down to 22s. Look at the trade desk, TTD. So, again, still got to wait for Nvidia numbers here. We'll watch it move, but look at the trade desk. Again, Salesforce down on its earnings report. Was red on the day. It's back up to 187s right now, 187s. Snowflake is green, though, up to 178s. Was at 180s. And again, we're all waiting on Nvidia here. I think we also have Zoom releasing earnings. They're down to 83s. Again, yeah, here's Zoom. Zoom just dropped. They posted 144. They missed EPS. Beat revenue. The flat numbers for Zoom here. Here's Zoom's numbers in the chat right now if you want to check them out. Again, Zoom is down. Still waiting on Nvidia. We got about 11 minutes left. All right, guys. Again, we did a poll earlier. 78% think Nvidia is going to beat their quarterly earnings. 22% think they're going to miss. Again, 78% think they're going to beat. 22% think they're going to miss. I'm jacked to the tits on calls. Hey, good luck, my friend. Good luck. I'm in Nvidia long too, bro. We'll see what happens. Here's Snowflake's numbers if you want to check them out. Again, the big question for Nvidia earnings, again, is guidance numbers. Guidance expected at 71 to 75 billion. Will they beat that amount? I don't know. Again, Paramount Skydance just posted their numbers here. And again, in the wake of the potential Netflix buyout, competing for Warner Bros., they posted a 12-cent loss per share. They expected 1 cent. Revenue at 8.15. They expected 1.85. So flat revenue and missed guidance margins, or missed margins numbers here for PSKY, Paramount Skydance. And again, they're trying to buy Warner Bros. Right now. I think Netflix is going to win, but they're trying to buy Warner Bros. As we speak. Again, 9 minutes left. Nvidia is technically scheduled for 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, 4:20 p.m. is when they're technically scheduled to drop. But it's any time. It's any time now. Yeah. It's a little glitchy. I've heard a couple people say chat was glitchy. There's problems going on. All right, guys. So again, Snowflake pull it back a little bit after its gains here. I'm not really liking these reactions we've seen from the tech and AI-centered stocks. Salesforce at 187s, Snowflake at 174s. Salesforce rebounding, but still red from earnings. Salesforce went up, or Snowflake went up originally. It's back down to 174s, under that now. Zoom reacted negatively to earnings, although it kind of rebounded back up. Again, we will see what we get here today. Guys, we'll see what we get. I am an Nvidia long. Let's hope it does well. Again, big story of the day is whether Nvidia can hold and really bring optimism back to chips, because we've seen a lot of fears. Typing messages in the show, I'll even come back and they aren't here. Yeah, guys, just a heads up. If you're typing right now, I am not ignoring you. I really am not ignoring you. Again, there's some type of glitch. I could tell it earlier. Earlier, we had 400 or 500 people. Almost no chat comments. And again, I had Pawn. Pawn looked at other streams and said that it was happening with other streams too. So there's something going on with YouTube today. It's not me. I'm not ignoring you. I promise. I'd rather not sit here and talk to myself with 500 people watching me, you know. Or what do we have? With 1,400 people watching me now. I'd rather not sit here talking to myself here to chat. But, you know, sometimes that's just what I have to bear here, you know. Anyways, Nvidia, I wanted at 196.40s right now, 196.40s. Salesforce still coming back down, about to go red on the day. 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Yeah, and look, this is what my screen looks like on my end. So there's something going on with YouTube right now. It's glitchy. Like, this is like watching TV in the 70s right now for me, you know. All right, guys. Again, 6 minutes left. 6 minutes. All right, Nvidia started to edge higher here, though. It's at 196.70s. So almost 197s. Well, Nvidia saved the market today, guys. That's the big question. I don't know. 210s. Here's a question. Where does Nvidia close the day? Two tens. Look at Salesforce, guys, still dropping. 185s. Again, 5 minutes left until Nvidia is technically scheduled to release. 5 minutes. 211s. Yeah, I see what you did. $194, 202s, 300s, 220s, 205s. They might be getting the chat fixed. There you guys are. Again, we're at 185s right now on Salesforce. Nvidia is sitting right at the 200 exponential. 200s, 1,000. I hope it goes to 1,000. I'll dance if it goes to 1,000, you know, and I'm not a dancer. 187. I hope not. I'm not going to say I'll cry if that happens, but I might. 184s, 175s. Okay, there's everybody. Like, where'd all these comments wake up for, bro? I didn't have any comments about 5 seconds ago. All right, guys, here we go. 4 minutes. Yeah, trust me, I'm one of the streamers that like communicating with the chat. I'm not ignoring you guys today. There's some weird glitch going on with YouTube, to be honest. Again, I don't have anybody to talk to. I gotta just sit here and repeat myself. So chat works. 201s, 185s, 193s, 201s, 220s, 221s. 77% of people think Nvidia is going to beat, though. I hope you guys are right. I think it needs a really big beat and raise scenario. I think it needs to raise guidance. Again, analysts put it out at $75 billion for Q1 2027. I hope it can hit those numbers here. You never freaking know, but I genuinely hope it can hit those numbers. We'll see. $12s. Okay, now you guys are just throwing out random numbers here. All right, guys, here we go. Again, 3.5 minutes left until Nvidia drops. It looks like they're going to stick to their time. You know, it's not uncommon for Nvidia to be late with their earnings report either. It's not uncommon. We've seen it before. I kind of hope they're late today, but we'll see. Again, it's not crazy. All right, here we go. Nvidia down to 196 is here. We have 2.5 minutes, chat. 2.5 minutes. Salesforce now red on the day. Snowflake is now red since the earnings release. Now red since the close. You'll be able to tell when the drop happens because you'll see the price swings in Nvidia stock. Again, Snowflake posted a slight beat and slight to EPS and revenue. Slight beat to EPS and revenue. Still not great numbers here, though. Zero, 90. Does Nvidia close over 200? Put yes or no in chat, guys. Yes or no in chat. Over 200 today. 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left. Was it Nvidia, the other one, chip maker in September, October, that reported excellent sales and such, but had warehouses full of inventory that wasn't moving? I'm not sure which one that was. All right, guys. Here we go. We're going to get to the point where we start refreshing NVIDIA's earnings investor relations website. Here. Here we go. Again, 1 minute left. 1 minute. No? All right, here we go. 1 minute. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're real time on the stream. 1 minute. Nvidia inventory is sold out. Yeah, it's not Nvidia. All right, guys, let me go into search mode so I can get these earnings to you guys as fast as possible here. All right, here we go. 40 seconds. 40 seconds. $30. 30 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. $20 seconds here, guys. Again, hit the live button, put it in 2x speed. You'll be caught up to the stream in real time. Again, 15 seconds. Again, I'm not ignoring you if you're commenting. There's just a glitch. Here we go. Here's the time right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here's the drop right now. Let's see it. Let's see it move. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Still waiting. Nothing on Nvidia yet. No price swings yet. They haven't released it yet. No swings. gonna restart the song. Nothing yet. They're late. They haven't reported yet. It's 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They're not out yet. I see a green candle here. I don't think this is it though. 196.60s, 197s. It bounced a little bit here. Nvidia posted a 158, beat 153, revenue of 67.4 versus 66 expected. Data center at 61.3 billion versus gross margins at 75.2%. Quarter one guidance at 74 billion, above the 72.5 billion expected. So Nvidia did release. Again, they posted 158 versus expected 153. They honestly didn't move at all here that I'm showing. Like I don't see this moving at all here. But again, Nvidia posted 158 versus 153 expected. Revenue of 67.4 versus 66 expected. So slight beats here for Nvidia. This is not a crazy big beat. And honestly, I thought they would do better, to be honest. It's not a crazy good beat. Again, we have these numbers up on screen right now. It's not the biggest beat you've ever seen. Like a lot of people expect for Nvidia. It's not like a crazy big beat. Again, they posted 158 versus 153, revenue of 67.4 versus 66.2. Their guidance was 74 billion. Remember, they expected 71. Some analysts said 75. 74 billion, I think, is good. Again, quarter one guidance 74 billion, above the 72 to 73 expected here. So again, I'll put these numbers up scrolling on the bottom of the screen here. Let's take a look deeper into their earnings call, though. But they haven't really moved much at all. Yeah, they haven't really moved much. We'll dig deeper into some of their numbers for Nvidia here. But 196.6 billion. Guidance was 74 billion. They expected 71. Some analysts again had it at 75 billion. So and they're really not up that much, man. Nvidia didn't move almost at all from earnings. Is that normal? I don't think that's, I've never seen that before. Like I saw a very small jump, but it wasn't anything like crazy. Again, Nvidia 158 versus 153, revenue of 67.4 versus 66, guidance at 74. So, but this isn't crazy good numbers here, to be honest. For Nvidia, I think it could have done better. At least that's what I'm showing. Unless this is like a fake out news story, which I don't think it is. Maybe everybody else doesn't have this news either. But again, let me know if you guys see what I'm showing here. I'm showing the numbers on the chat right now. I'm showing quarter one guidance 74 billion, above the 7.25 expected here. Again, I'll put this scrolling on the bottom of the screen here, and I'll move this one up so you guys can see it a little bit cleaner. But dude, data is weird today, right now. It really is. Data's off today for sure. There we go. That's what I'm showing. And again, Nvidia hasn't moved at all. Synopsys posted numbers. TOS? It's not even TOS that I'm using for this. I'm using social media with some other stuff here. But again, I think Nvidia has moved so little. Again, I'm showing EPS of 158 versus expected 153. Revenue of 67.4. I mean, I could always be wrong, and maybe it's like maybe somebody faked me out. But Nvidia hasn't moved at all. I'm seeing a lot of people still on social media saying, hey, where's the Nvidia earnings? And so maybe these are just fake numbers. But again, most people that I'm showing are showing 158 versus 153. If Nvidia skyrockets from here, I'm going to freak out. But again, 158 versus 153, guidance of 74 billion. Yeah, it's not just me that posted these numbers here. The earnings call is at 5 p.m. So the actual earnings call is at 5 p.m. today. Yeah, so the actual earnings call is at 5. But yeah, what's weird is that when we look at their actual website, you know, we have these numbers here, and Nvidia hasn't really moved at all. But if you look at the actual investor relations website for Nvidia, questionable. People are saying it's a fake report. I mean, that's possible with how it's moving. Again, these are the numbers I'm showing on social media. Could be a fake report, but it would have to coincide with Nvidia being really late to release and a fake report. And so that's the question: is like, is it a late report and a fake report, or what? You know. It's very strange that it's not moving. Again, other people are saying the number's at 430, so I'm going to stick around and see this. But it's very strange. And then I'm seeing another report show that Nvidia had 175 in EPS versus 153 and revenue of 69.4 versus 66.13. So, again, genuinely confused. I'd like to believe the numbers are out and this isn't just kind of attack of people. But the stock hasn't moved at all here, guys. The stock is not moving at all. Again, is this report real? Chat, let me know. Do you guys think this report is real or not? Again, I'm showing 158. Guidance of 74 billion. And again, so I'm going to sit around and wait for 430. But a lot of people are saying they're not released yet. It's a fake report. All right, let's see what happens at 430 then, guys. I'm going to put possible numbers up here. Could be fake. But again, that would be weird because that would mean Nvidia had to be 10 minutes late. And we had somebody targeting fake numbers with the understanding that Nvidia would be 10 minutes late. That's a really weird coincidence, no? I will say it's strange that Nvidia hasn't moved at all from this. Yeah, this is odd. This is very strange. Watch it drop at 430, and it's the same numbers that we just had. All right, here's 430. A lot of people speculated 430 is when the drop would happen. Let's see if 430. Let's see if we get movement now. A little bit of movement here. Yeah, a lot of big analysts are saying that they're not out yet. But wouldn't we see Nvidia move at 4:30? How is Nvidia going to be, 10 minutes late to their earnings report? This is odd. I'm watching for movement though. I mean, I'm for it, You fooled me once, you can't get fooled again. Is all I'm saying here, guys. But again, I don't see Nvidia move. Now they're saying 4:45. Yeah, the call is supposed to be. Again, the actual earnings call is supposed to be at 5. All right, here's a little wiggle here, though. Bro, today's just strange, dude. Weird chat, fake data. If it's there's a move for Nvidia. It was fake data here, guys. Y'all are right. I am in Nvidia right now as well, and now it's all the way back down. Okay, let's see what the actual numbers are. Weird, dude. Nvidia numbers. We had a fake out. 162 EPS, revenue of 68.1 billion. Fourth quarter EPS 162. Revenue of 68.1 billion. So again, 162 EPS. Fourth quarter revenue of 68.1 billion. Data center revenue at 62.3 billion. So Nvidia numbers are out all of a sudden. Weird, man. This is strange, dude. I gotta report this again. So the first numbers were wrong. And I'm in Nvidia right now. I'm loving this here. You love to see it. Nvidia's flying up over $200 a share right now. Yeah, the numbers were fake, man. That's super strange, though, guys. Super strange. I've never seen a targeted attack like that. Again, I'll put these up scrolling on the bottom of the screen now. I've never seen a targeted attack like that. Somebody had to know the numbers were going to be late. Again, somebody had to know, which is odd. Again, fourth quarter data center revenue showed up at 62.3 billion versus 60.36 billion expected. I'll put this up on the main scroller now, but that was odd. I've never seen that before. Very strange. And Nvidia's up. Yeah, Nvidia posted 176 EPS versus 154 expected for 68.1 billion versus 66.12 billion. These are the numbers I'm showing as well. Dude, I'm getting so many different numbers right now. So many different numbers go across the screen. Very strange here, chat. Very strange. All right, guidance for Nvidia 76.4 to 79.5 billion for quarter one revenue. Again, 76.4, that's way better than expected. Again, look at this guidance numbers that I'm showing right here. It's so strange, dude. I've never seen a targeted attack like that with a bunch of people posting fake numbers. Yeah, these are probably the real ones because this is how the market's responding here. The market's actually responding to these numbers. Very strange, Chad. Very strange. Again, quarter four data revenue at 62.3 versus 60.7 expected. Gaming revenue at 3.7. The CFO says will pay its next quarterly cash dividend of 1 cent per share on April 1st, 2026, not assuming any data centers. Compute revenue from China in quarter one outlook. Strategically secured inventory and capacity to meet demand beyond several next quarters. Expect supply constraints to be a headwind to gaming in the first quarter of 2027 and beyond. And Nvidia's up big. 202s right now. We get almost 203s for Nvidia here. Again, quarter one sales 76.4 to 79.56 billion. So remember, we talked about low 70s. Low 70s, 71 billion. We talked about low 70s. We are now in the high 70s for guidance for quarter one. You love to see it. You love to see it. Take this little guy off here. Look at Nvidia shoot up here, guys. Wow. Again, 68 billion in revenue for quarter 4, higher than expectations, higher than expected EPS. Data center revenue at 62.3. So again, this is Nvidia's numbers right here. If you guys want, I'll put this up on screen so you can see it. They said computing demand is growing exponentially right here. Again, exponential computing generation. Put them up right here. 203s right now, 203s. Wow. Yeah, it looks like the chat's coming in now. Again, if you've been talking to me, again, I'm not ignoring you. We had weird issues with the chat this morning. Again, higher than expected guidance as well. Remember, the sweet spot was 75 billion in a lot of analysts' minds. We ended up doing actually a little bit better than that. We ended up showing at 76 to 79.5 billion for numbers here. Again, quarter 4 data center 62.3 versus 60.36. Adjusted gross margins of 75.2. Quarter 1 revenue of 76.4. Yeah, the world's not ending. Nvidia had a great earnings call. A great earnings call. Yeah, it looks like the chat's coming in. Again, Nvidia still up here at 202s. Again, 162 EPS, gross margin 75%, data center revenue at 62.3, compute revenue at 51.3, networking revenue at 10.98. So almost everything was higher than expected. Compute revenue is a little bit lower though. Data center revenue was higher than expected, better than expected EPS and revenue. Quarter 1 revenue guidance was better than the 73 to 75 billion they wanted. And so we did beat and raise for Nvidia. We beat and raised, which is good. We'll see if that continues, but Nvidia did beat and raise their guidance numbers here. Nvidia, again, guys, 202s, almost 203s. The actual earnings call is going to be in about 20 minutes here. We will have the Nvidia earnings call in about 20 minutes. Again, Nvidia's quarter 4 gross margin was aided by lower inventory provisions. They said customers are racing to invest in AI compute. Computing demand is growing exponentially. Again, an Nvidia guidance doesn't assume any China data center compute revenue. So it doesn't even include revenue from there. Data center revenue up nearly 13x since ChatGPT's emergence. Fourth quarter gaming revenue growth driven by strong Blackwell demand. Again, 68 billion in revenue for Nvidia, higher than expectations. I heard Burry is living out of a cardboard box right now. Don't you mean Blurry? His name's Blurry, isn't it? Isn't it Michael Blurry? Again, Nvidia quarter 4 gaming revenue growth driven by strong Blackwell demand. Data center revenue up nearly 13x since ChatGPT emergence. Hyperscalers just over 50% of quarter 4 center revenue. He says Grace Blackwell with NVLink is the king of inference. Sees gaming supply constraints in quarter 1 and beyond though. Yeah, I know you meant Michael Burry. His nickname is Blurry now. Again, they said fourth quarter gross margins were boosted by lower inventory provisions, and they see gaming supply constraints in quarter 1 and beyond. Buy more Nvidia, market opens. Yeah, I'm glad I bought Nvidia earlier, guys. You love to see it. Yeah, again, we have the earnings call at 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And again, Nvidia's still ripping up here on good earnings. It's weird, guys. Again, I'm sorry, but I've never seen a fake earnings report come out. Again, quarter one guides above estimates. They beat quarter four numbers. There isn't enough chips to go around. Yeah, but that's good for Nvidia, obviously. All right, guys. Again, we have about 18 minutes left until the actual earnings call, and we will stream the entire thing live so you can watch it right here. But Nvidia so far has had noticeably better guidance than expected for quarter one 2027 guidance. They expected 71 to 73 billion. They ended up showing, I think it was like 76. What is on my screen? 76.4 to 79.56 billion. So better than expected guidance numbers, which are key. Higher than expected EPS, higher than expected revenue. They expected 153. They showed what? 160. Let me fix the scroller on the bottom. Yeah, they showed 162 versus 152 expected. Revenue 68 versus 65, 66 expected. So again, so far Nvidia has reacted well to this. $200 is close. All-time highs on Nvidia are not that far away. All-time highs on Nvidia, guys, are all up here at 212s. The 212s is the all-time high. Again, we'll see if it holds. Is the screen blurry to you guys? I'm not talking about Michael blurry. I'm talking about, is the screen blurry to you guys? Because it's blurry to me. All right, we also have the White House senior advisor Hassett on 15% tariff time frame, say still a work in progress. Still a work in progress. You are blurry a bit. It's a YouTube issue. Yeah, that's what I'm showing here. Chat is off. YouTube's off. It's been like that all day, unfortunately. Again, Nvidia posted better than expected EPS, better than expected revenue, higher guidance for quarter one revenue. And again, what's strange here, guys, just if you're just now tuning in, what's very odd here is that right at 420, when Nvidia was technically scheduled to release, we had a rush of fake earnings come out. What did the original fake earnings show up as? It tricked me into thinking they were out as well. But again, I did preface it with like, these could be fake because it was odd. We had no movement from it. But those numbers basically said, what did they say? I have to go back and figure out what they said, but we had fake earnings come out basically for Nvidia. Targeted. Very odd. Very odd. They were still a beat, but just not as good as what was released. Yeah. Did you guys see the fake earnings too? Again, we also had news earlier that DeepSeek is withholding upcoming models from Nvidia and AMD, according to sources. But again, fake earnings. See if Nvidia holds, though. I think $200. I might buy more if we break down to $200. Yeah, so again, the fake number showed 158 versus 153 expected. Revenue of 67.4 versus 66 expected. So they were honestly kind of close. They were kind of close. We ended up doing what, 163? Or no, we ended up doing 162. They said 158. It wasn't that far off. I mean, it was a beat, but this is a much larger beat. Again, they said it came in at 74 above the 72. Yeah, I have to go back and look to see all the pages that posted it. I didn't post it on my actual x.com page. Again, at Beginner Trades, give me a follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know if it's dumping. Look, I might add more to Nvidia right here at this 200 level. I think these are very good numbers for Nvidia. So we'll take a little size here. All right, this is me buying here, guys. So if you hear something on your screen, it's me. Sorry. Yeah, YouTube is glitching right now, though. It's very strange. Let's see if we get the bounce here. I mean, we're so green on the day, it's not going to matter today. But I'd love for the first move to not be the wrong move here. It's not actually a crazy big position here. Like, I could probably get a couple hundred shares of Nvidia at this 200 level and see if we retrace back over it. Oh, the music is off. My bad, guys, here. I'm over here listening to music. Sorry. Should I buy more? I think I should. Let's see. Come on, give it to me. Give me the 200 bounce here. Get up to like 201s. Yeah, the earnings call is really where we're going to see a lot of stuff get baked into it. So again, the earnings call is what I'm trying to bullish on Nvidia. I can see them on an uptrend through March. Check Taiwan Semiconductors and Supermicro Semiconductors. Yeah, look at them flying up as well here. But again, Nvidia did break $200 a share. What did you say, Supermicro? Yeah, they're up just in sympathy. I mean, good, you know, AI growth is good for other AI and chip players. Still looking for the Nvidia bounce here. There we go. Yep. Still in a pretty decent position. I'm just kind of taking some off on the $200 bounce that we wanted. We'll let the rest sit. Over 200. I think it wants to hold over $200 as well here for this price action. TSM. There we go. Nvidia's still pushing here. Gonna add more to it. A lot of people yelling at me to look at TSM. TSM up to almost 395s right now. They're loving life after this report too. Look at TSM break highs here. And again, here's Nvidia on the right side of the screen. Like this is Nvidia right here. Yes, bullish on Nvidia. I can see them on an uptrend through March. Again, Nvidia did have great earnings. Again, BDPS beat revenue. The big numbers, the guidance numbers. Again, so they say gross margin decrease impacted by 4.5 billion charge associated with H2O excess inventory and purchase obligations, they say. They highlighted record revenue, data center demand. Customers are racing to invest in AI compute. They say H200 shipped under new licensing program will be subject to a 25% tariff upon importation into the U.S. They said we are finalizing an investment and partnership agreement with OpenAI. No assurances we will enter into an agreement with OpenAI. They expect to increase capital CapEx in fiscal 27 relative to fiscal year 26 to support future growth of our business. Have not generated any revenue under the H200 licensing program and do not yet know whether any imports will be allowed into China. They say, while currently our supply chain is mainly concentrated in Asia, we are expanding into the US and Latin America. Yeah, we have 7 minutes until the call. Okay, guys, Nvidia now under 200. TSM almost to $400 a share right now, though, in this news. Wondering if AWS is having issues. Okay, we have 7 minutes left. 6 minutes, really. I can tell there's glitches. Look at this TSM candle just now. Look at this. It's frozen right here. Look at that. Did you guys see that? Yeah, that was weird. That would stay down there longer than normal. I could tell it was just a candle wick. Like, it's not a real candle. It's just going back to the move. But, man, strange price action today, guys. Really weird, to be honest. Very strange. All right, guys, you guys ready? We're gonna stream the entire earnings call live here. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern time. 4 p.m. Again, still back up here. I'm gonna stay in my position right now, I think. You get ahead of the earnings call, guys. If you want to help support the channel, check out Take Profit. A great way to help support the channel. There's no PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities. Great way to learn when most day traders lose money. Most day traders lose. And so if you fund your own account, thousands of dollars trying to look cool, you'll probably lose your money. Let's just be honest here. You'll probably lose. Learning this, sorry, my daughter's asking for money right now. Try Take Profit. 40% off if you use my promo code BG. BG, 40% off. No PDT in futures. No activation fees as well. If you pass the test, they fund you the same amount. So you're only risking what you pay for the challenge. It just makes sense to learn that way when most day traders lose. Again, if you want to help support our free content, you can use promo code BG for Apex and take profit. Yeah, 5 p.m. is in 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Again, Nvidia said, while currently our supply chain is mainly concentrated in Asia, we are expanding into the U.S. and Latin America. Say fiscal year gross margins decrease impacted by 4.5 billion charge associated with excess H2O inventory and purchase obligations. Record revenue, data center demand. Customers are racing to invest in AI compute. And says any H200 shipped under the new licensing program will be subject to a 25% tariff upon importation into the U.S. They said we're finalizing an investment and partnership agreement with OpenAI. No assurance we will enter into the agreement. Let's see if the bull action continues. I had trouble off and on with lag. Yeah, it's been glitchy, man. Like, again, YouTube's been glitchy today, to be honest. Like, Nvidia's been strange. Alright, guys, so again, we're sitting here. We're waiting. Nvidia. The buy I did earlier is looking pretty solid here. Two and a half minutes. Are you guys bullish or bearish? Let's do another poll here real quick. We have 2 minutes left. Are you guys bullish or bearish on the earnings call? I mean, Nvidia's up a lot. Can it hold the gains is the question mark. There's the poll. Yeah, we're waiting for it to start. Just hold tight. The broadcast will begin shortly. We're here waiting. Have to be bullish. That's the easiest part to hype. Yeah, I mean, looking at the poll, 76% are bullish. I mean, following through with the hype just makes sense, I think. But they could say stuff that isn't necessarily good during the call. I'm hoping they go up. I'll probably stay in my long. Sounds like they are bullish, but they're putting disclaimer in case of disruptions. Dumping tomorrow at market open, what it normally does after earnings. All right, guys, here we go. 30 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. Really hard to manage the stream today, to be honest. Yeah, YouTube's glitching out today, man. It really is. Yep, that happens every time. Alright, I'm going to turn the music off and just prep. And I'm going to mute the background music so you guys can't hear it. And then I'm going to refresh this. And I'll play the lobby music. Okay, wait. Is this them starting it? They starting this early? I hear somebody coughing in the background. You can hear him? Listen to that. Somebody just coughed. I heard him. Somebody started this early. Or maybe it's not early.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to NVIDIA's fourth quarter earnings call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press star 1 again. Thank you. Toshiya Hari, you may begin your conference.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the fourth quarter of fiscal 2026. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang, President and Chief Executive Officer, and Colette Kress, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations website. The webcast will be available for replay until the conference call to discuss our financial results for the first quarter of fiscal 2027. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It can't be reproduced or transcribed without our prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of significant risks and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For a discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release, our most recent Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and the reports that we may file on Form 8-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission. All our statements are made as of today, February 25th, 2026, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures. You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thanks, Toshiya. We delivered another outstanding quarter with record revenue, operating income, and free cash flow. Total revenue of $68 billion was up 73% year over year, accelerating from Q3. Growth on a sequential basis was also a record as we added $11 billion in data center revenue across a diverse and expanding set of customers, including cloud providers, hyperscalers, AI model makers, enterprises, and sovereign nations. Demand for our Blackwell architecture, extreme co-designed at data center scale, continues to strengthen as inference deployments grow in addition to training. The transition to accelerated computing and the infusion of AI across existing hyperscale workloads continue to fuel our growth. Agentic and physical AI applications built on increasingly smarter and multimodal models are beginning to drive our financial performance. On a full year basis, data center generated revenue of $194 billion, up 68% year over year. We have now scaled our data center business by nearly 13x since the emergence of ChatGPT in fiscal 2023. We look ahead, we expect sequential revenue growth throughout calendar 2026, exceeding what was included in the $500 billion Blackwell and Rubin revenue opportunity we shared last year. We believe we have inventory and supply commitments in place to address future demand, including shipments extending into calendar 2027. Every data center is power constrained. Customers make critical architectural decisions based on performance per watt, given these constraints and the need to maximize AI factory revenue. SemiAnalysis declared Nvidia Inference King, as recent results from Inference X reinforced our inference leadership, with GB300 NVL72 achieving up to 50x performance per watt and 35x lower cost per token compared with Hopper. And continuous optimization of CUDA software helped deliver up to 5 times better performance on GB200 NVL72 just within 4 months. NVIDIA produces the lowest cost per token, and data centers running on NVIDIA generate the highest revenues. Our pace of innovation, particularly at our scale, is unmatched, fueled by an annual R&D budget approaching $20 billion and our ability to extreme co-design across compute and networking across chips, systems, algorithms, and softwares, we intend to deliver X factor leaps in performance per watt every generation and extend our leadership position over the long term. Q4 data center revenue of $62 billion increased 75% year over year and 22% sequentially, driven primarily by sustained strength in Blackwell and the Blackwell Ultra ramp. With Nvidia infrastructure in high demand, even Hopper and much of the 6-year-old Ampere-based products are sold out in the cloud. Nearly a year has passed since the release of our Grace Blackwell NVL72 systems. Today, nearly 9 gigawatts of infrastructure on Blackwell are deployed and consumed by the major cloud service providers, hyperscalers, AI model makers, and enterprises. Networking, a cornerstone of our data center scale infrastructure offering, was a standout this quarter, generating $11 billion in revenue, up more than 3.5x year over year. Demand for our scale up and scale out technologies reached record levels, both growing double digits sequentially, driven by strong adoption of NVLink, Spectrum-X Ethernet, and InfiniBand. On a year-over-year basis, growth was driven primarily by NVLink 72 scale-up switches, as Grace Blackwell systems accounted for roughly 2/3 of data center revenue in the quarter. NVLink scale-up fabric has revolutionized computing and demonstrates the power of extreme co-design across all of the chips of the supercomputer and the full stack. In Q4, we announced that we will enable AWS with NVLink to integrate with their custom silicon. Momentum is strong with our Spectrum-X Ethernet scale-up and scale-across networking as customers work to unify distributed data centers into integrated gigascale AI factories. For the full year, our networking business exceeded $31 billion in revenue, up more than 10x compared to fiscal 2021, the year we acquired Mellanox. Our demand profile is broad, diverse, and expanding beyond just chatbots. First, there is a fundamental platform shift from classical machine learning to generative AI. Strong evidence of ROI as hyperscalers upgrade massive traditional workloads to generative AI, including search, ad generation, and content recommender systems, is encouraging our largest customers to accelerate their capital spending. For example, at Meta, advancements in their GEM model drove a 3.5 increase in ad clicks on Facebook and more than 1% gain in conversations on Instagram, translating into meaningful revenue growth. With the same Nvidia infrastructure, Meta Superintelligence Labs can train and deploy their frontier agentic AI systems. Frontier agentic systems have reached an inflection point. Claude Code, Claude Cowork, and OpenAI Codex have achieved useful intelligence. Adoption is skyrocketing, and tokens are profitable, driving extreme urgency to scale up compute. Compute directly translates to intelligence and revenue growth. Analyst expectations for 2026 CapEx across the top 5 cloud providers and hyperscalers, who collectively account for a little over 50% of our data center revenue, are up nearly $120 billion since the start of the year and approaching $700 billion. We continue to expect the transition of classic data center workloads to GPU-accelerated computing and the use of AI to enhance today's hyperscale workloads and contribute toward roughly half of our long-term opportunity. Every country will build and operate some parts of its AI infrastructure, just like with electricity and internet today. In fiscal year 2026, our sovereign AI business more than tripled year over year and over 30 billion, driven primarily by customers based in Canada, France, the Netherlands, Singapore, and the UK. Over the long run, we expect our sovereign opportunity to grow at least in line with the AI infrastructure market as countries spend on AI proportional to their GDP. While small amounts of H200 products for China-based customers were approved by the US government, we have yet to generate any revenue, and we do not know whether any imports will be allowed into China. Our competitors in China, bolstered by recent IPOs, are making progress and have the potential to disrupt the structure of the global AI industry over the long term. To sustain its leadership position in AI compute, America must engage every developer and be the platform for choice for every commercial business, including those in China. We will continue to engage with the US and China governments and advocate for America's ability to compete around the world. We unveiled the Rubin platform last month at CES, comprised of 6 new chips: the Vera CPU, Rubin GPU, NVLink 6 switch, ConnectX-9 SuperNIC, Bluefield 4 DPU, and Spectrum 6 Ethernet switch. The platform will train MOE models with 1/4 the number of GPUs and reduce inference token costs by up to 10x compared to Blackwell. We shipped our first Vera Rubin samples to customers earlier this week, and we remain on track to commence production shipments in the second half of the year. Based on its modular, cable-free tray design, Rubin will deliver improved resiliency and serviceability relative to Blackwell. We expect every cloud model builder to deploy Vera Rubin. Moving to gaming. Gaming revenue of $3.7 billion increased 47% year on year, driven by strong Blackwell demand and improved supply. GeForce RTX is the leading platform for PC gamers, creators, and developers. In Q4, we added several new technologies and advancements, including DLSS 4.5, which uses AI to bring game visuals to a new level. G-Sync Pulsar, bringing incredible clear graphics even in motion, and 35% faster LLM inference across leading AI PC frameworks. Looking ahead, while end demand for our products remains strong and channel inventory levels are healthy, we expect supply constraints to be the headwind to gaming in Q1 and beyond. For professional visualization, it crossed the 1 billion mark for the first time, with revenue of $1.3 billion, up 159% year over year and 74% sequentially. During the quarter, we launched the RTX Pro 5000 Blackwell workstation with 72 gigabytes of fast memory for AI developers running LLMs and agentic workflows. Automotive revenue of $604 million was up 6% year over year and was driven by robust demand for self-driving solutions. At CES, we introduced Alpamayo, the world's first open portfolio of reasoning, vision, language, action models, simulation blueprints, and datasets enabling vehicles that can think. The first passenger car featuring Alpamayo, built on Nvidia Drive, will be on the road soon in the new Mercedes-Benz CLA. Physical AI is here, having already contributed north of $6 billion in Nvidia revenue in fiscal year 2026. Robotaxi rides are growing exponentially with commercial fleets from Waymo, Tesla, Uber, WeRide, and Zoox. And many others are expected to scale from thousands of vehicles in 2025 to millions over the next decade, creating a market poised to generate hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue. This expansion will demand orders of a magnitude more compute, with every major OEM and service provider developing on Nvidia's platform. We continue to advance robotics development with the new Nvidia Cosmos and Isaac Group, open models, frameworks, and Nvidia's powered robots and autonomous machines for leading companies, including Boston Dynamics, Caterpillar, Franco Robotics, LG Electronics, and Neuro Robotics. To accelerate industrial physical AI adoption, we also announced new expanding partnerships with Dassault Systems, Siemens, and Synopsys to bring NVIDIA AI infrastructure, Omniverse digital twins, world models, and CUDA-X libraries to millions of researchers, designers, and engineers building the world's industries. Let's move to the rest of the P&L. GAAP gross margin was 75%, and non-GAAP gross margin was 75.2%, increasing sequentially as Blackwell continued to ramp. GAAP operating expenses were up 16% sequentially and up 21% on a non-GAAP basis related to new product introductions and compute and infrastructure costs. Non-GAAP effective tax rate for the fourth quarter was 15.4%, below our outlook for the quarter, primarily due to the impact of a one-time tax benefit. Inventory grew 8% quarter over quarter, while purchase commitments also increased significantly, as we have strategically secured inventory and capacity to meet demand beyond the next several quarters. This is further out in time than usual and reflects the longer demand visibility we have. While we expect tightness in the supply for our advanced architectures to persist, we remain confident in our ability to capitalize on the growth opportunity ahead with our scale, expansive supply chain, and the long-standing partnerships continuing to serve us well. We generated free cash flow of $35 billion in Q4 and $97 billion in fiscal year 2026. For the year, we returned $41 billion, or 43% of free cash flow, to our shareholders in the form of share repurchases and dividends. We continue to invest in our technology and our ecosystem to cultivate market development, drive long-term growth, and ultimately yield total shareholder returns superior to the market or our peer group. Importantly, we will continue to run a strategic and disciplined process as it relates to our investments, and we remain committed to returning capital to our shareholders. Let me turn to the outlook for the first quarter. Starting this quarter, we will be including stock-based compensation expense in our non-GAAP results. Stock-based compensation is a foundational component of our compensation program to attract and retain world-class talent. Let me first start with revenue. Total revenue is expected to be $78 billion, plus or minus 2%. We expect most of our growth to be driven by data center. Consistent with last quarter, we are not assuming any data center compute revenue from China in our outlook. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 74.9% and 75%, respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. For the full year, we continue to see gross margins in the mid-70s. We will keep you updated on our progress as we prepare for the Vera Rubin transition. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $7.7 billion and $7.5 billion, respectively, including stock-based compensation expense of $1.9 billion. For the full year, we expect non-GAAP operating expenses to grow in the low 40s on a year-over-year basis as we continue to invest in our expanding opportunity set. For the full year, fiscal year 27, we expect GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates to be in between 7% and 19%, excluding any discrete items and material changes to our tax environment. With that, let me turn the call over to Jensen. I think he has a few words for us.
This quarter, we significantly deepened and expanded our partnerships with leading frontier model makers. We recently celebrated OpenAI's launch of GPT 5.3 Codex, trained with and inferencing on Grace Blackwell NVLink 72 systems. GPT 5.3 Codex can take on long-running tasks that involve research, tool use, and complex execution. 5.3 Codex is deployed broadly inside Nvidia. Our engineers love it. We continue to work with OpenAI toward a partnership agreement and believe we are close. We are thrilled with our ongoing partnership with OpenAI, a once-in-a-generation company we've had the pleasure of partnering with since their first days. Meta Superintelligence Labs is scaling up at lightning speed. Last week, we announced that Meta is deploying millions of Blackwells and Rubin GPUs, Nvidia CPUs, and Spectrum-X Ethernet for training and inference. This quarter, we announced a partnership with Anthropic and a $10 billion investment in their company. Anthropic will train and inference on Grace Blackwell and Vera Rubin systems. Anthropic's Claude Codework agent platform is revolutionary and has opened the floodgates for enterprise AI adoption. Between Claude Codework and OpenClaw, compute demand is skyrocketing, and ChatGPT moment of agentic AI has arrived. With partnerships spanning Anthropic, Meta, OpenAI, and xAI, Nvidia deployed across every cloud, and with our ability to build full-stack AI infrastructure from the ground up or support them in the cloud. We're uniquely positioned to partner with frontier model builders at every stage: training, inference, and AI factory scale-out. Finally, we recently entered into a non-exclusive licensing agreement with Grok for its low-latency inference technology and welcomed a team of brilliant engineers to Nvidia. As we did with Mellanox, we will extend Nvidia's architecture with Grok's innovations to enable new levels of AI infrastructure performance and value. We look forward to sharing more at GTC next month. Okay, back to you.
We will now transition to Q&A. Operator, please poll for questions.
At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. Your first question comes from Vivek Arya with Bank of America Securities. Your line is open.
Thanks for taking my question. I think you mentioned that you now have growth visibility into calendar 27 also, and I think your purchase commitments kind of reflect that confidence. But Jensen, I'm curious, when you look at your top cloud customers, cloud CapEx close to $700 billion this year, many investors are concerned that it would be harder for this level to grow into next year, and for several of them, their cash flow generation capability is also getting compressed. So I know you're very confident about your roadmap, right, and your purchase commitments and whatnot, but how confident are you about your customers' ability to continue to grow their CapEx? And if their CapEx doesn't grow, can NVIDIA still find a way to grow in that envelope? Thank you.
I am confident in their cash flow growing. And the reason for that is very simple. We have now seen the inflection of agentic AI and the usefulness of agents across the world in enterprises everywhere. You're seeing incredible compute demand because of it. In this new world of AI, compute is revenues. Without compute, there's no way to generate tokens. Without tokens, there's no way to grow revenues. So in this new world of AI, compute equals revenues. And I am certain that at this point, with the productive use of Codex and Claude Code and the excitement around Claude Cowork and just the incredible enthusiasm about OpenClaw and the enterprise versions of them. All of the enterprise ISVs who are now working on agentic systems on top of their tools platforms. I'm certain at this point that we are at the inflection point. We've reached the inflection point, and we're generating profitable tokens that are productive for customers and profitable for the cloud service providers. And so the simple logic of it, the simple way to think about it is computing has changed. What used to be software running on computers, modest amount of computers, call it $300 or $400 billion worth of CapEx each year, has now gone into AI. And AI, in order to generate tokens, you need compute capacity. And that translates directly to growth, and that translates directly to revenues.
Your next question comes from Joe Moore with Morgan Stanley. Your line is open.
Great, thank you, and congratulations on the numbers. You talked about some of the strategic investments that you've made into Anthropic and potentially OpenAI, CoreWeave as well, but also partners, Intel, Nokia, Synopsys. You're clearly at the center of everything. Can you talk about the role of those investments and kind of how do you view the balance sheet as a tool to kind of grow NVIDIA's position in the ecosystem and participate in that growth?
As you know, fundamentally at the core of everything NVIDIA is our ecosystem. That's what everybody loves about our business. The richness of our ecosystem. Just about every startup in the world is working on NVIDIA's platform. We're in every cloud. We're in every on-prem data center. We're all over the world's edge and robotic systems. Thousands of AI natives are built on top of NVIDIA. We want to take the great opportunity that we have as we're in the beginning of this new computing era, this new computing platform shift, to put everybody on NVIDIA. Everything is already built on CUDA, and so we're starting from a really terrific starting point. But as we build out the entire AI ecosystem, whether it's in AI for language or physical AI or AI physics or biology or robotics or manufacturing, we want all of these ecosystems to be built on top of NVIDIA. And this is such a wonderful opportunity for us to invest into the ecosystem across the entire stack. Our ecosystem is also richer today than it used to be. We used to be largely a computing platform on GPUs, but now we're a computing AI infrastructure company, and we have computing platforms on, well, every aspect of that. And everything from computing to AI models to networking to our DPU, all of that has computing stacks on top of it. And as I mentioned before, whether it's in enterprise or in manufacturing, industrial, or science or robotics, each one of these ecosystems have different stacks. And we want to make sure that we continue to invest into our ecosystem. So our investments are focused very squarely, strategically on expanding and deepening our ecosystem reach.
Your next question comes from Harlan Sur with JP Morgan. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. Networking continues to rise as a percentage of your overall data center profile, right? Through fiscal 26, your networking revenues accelerated on a year-over-year basis every single quarter, right? With 3.6x growth, as you guys mentioned, year-over-year growth in Q4. Obviously, on the strength of your scale-up and scale-out networking product portfolio, I seem to remember that first half of last year, your annualized run rate on your Spectrum-X Ethernet switching platform was around 10 billion annualized. It looks like that may have stepped up to around 11, 12 billion in the second half of last year. Jensen, looking at your order book, especially with Spectrum-X GS, upcoming 102T Spectrum-6 switching platforms launching soon, where is the Spectrum run rate trending now and as you foresee exiting sort of this calendar year?
Yeah, as you know, we see ourselves as an AI infrastructure company, and the AI computing infrastructure includes CPUs, GPUs, and we invented NVLink to scale up the one computing node into a giant computing rack. we invented the idea of a rack scale computer. We don't ship nodes of computers, we ship racks of computers. And that NVLink switch scale up system is then scaled out using Spectrum-X and InfiniBand. We support both. And then further, we also scale across data centers using Spectrum-X scale across. And so the way we think about networking is really an extension. We offer everything openly so that people could decide to mix and match in different scale and however they would like to integrate it into their bespoke data center. But in the final analysis, it's all one big part of our platform. And the invention of NVLink really turbocharged our networking business. Every rack comes with 9 nodes of switches, and each one of them has 2 chips in it, and in the future they'll have more. And so the amount of switching that we do per rack is really quite incredible. We're also now the largest networking company in the world. And if you look at Ethernet, we came into the Ethernet market about a couple of years ago into Ethernet switching. And I think that we're probably the largest Ethernet networking company in the world today, and surely will be soon. And so Spectrum-X Ethernet has been a home run for us. But we're open to however people want to do networking. Some people just really love the low latency and the scale-up capability of InfiniBand, and we will continue to support that, of course. And some people love to integrate their networking across their data center based on Ethernet. And we created an Ethernet capability that extends Ethernet with artificial intelligence way of processing in the data center, and we're incredibly good at that. And our Spectrum-X performance really shows it. The difference of it, when you built a $10 billion or $20 billion AI factory, the difference of 10%, and it could be easily 20% on the effectiveness and the utilization of your network for your data center, that translates to real money. And so NVIDIA's networking business is really, really growing fast. And it's, I think it's just because we built the AI infrastructure so effectively, and the AI infrastructure business is growing incredibly fast.
Your next question comes from CJ Muse with Cantor Fitzgerald. Your line is open.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the question. I guess with CPX for large context windows and Grok likely adding a decode-specific solution, curious how we should think about your future roadmap. Should we be thinking about customized silicon either by workload or customer as an increasing focus by NVIDIA, particularly helped by your move to a dielet architecture? Thanks so much.
Everybody should want to push out dielet as long as they can. And the reason for that is because every time you cross a dielet, you have to cross an interface. Every time you cross an interface, you add latency, you add power unnecessarily. We're not allergic to dielet. We use dielets already, but we try to use dielets only when we absolutely have no choice but to do so. And so if you look at the Grace Blackwell architecture and the Rubin architecture, we use 2 giant reticle limited dies and we abut them. And that reduces the amount of architecture crossing. The dielet tax shows up in the architecture effectiveness of the competitors. If you look at NVIDIA, people call it our software advantage. But where software starts and architecture starts and ends is kind of hard to tell. It's, our software is effective because our architecture is so good. And so the CUDA architecture is unquestionably more effective, more efficient, delivers more performance per flop, per watt than any computing architecture out there. And it's because of the way we architect. With respect to how we think about Grok and the low latency decoder, I've got some great ideas that I'd like to share with you at GTC. But the simple idea is that our infrastructure is incredibly versatile because of CUDA, and we're going to continue to do that. All of our GPUs are architecturally compatible, which means that when I'm working on optimizing models today for Blackwell, all of that work and all that dedication to optimizing software stacks and new models also benefit Hopper and also benefit Ampere. It's the reason why A100 continues to feel fresh and continues to stay performant years after we've deployed it into the world. Architecture compatibility allows us to do that. It allows us to invest enormously in software engineering and optimization, knowing that our entire install base in the cloud, on-prem, everywhere, from generations of architectures of GPUs will all benefit. And so we'll continue to do that, and allows us to extend the useful life, allows us to have innovation, flexibility, and velocity, which translates to performance, and very importantly, performance per dollar and performance per watt for our customers. And so what we'll do with Grok is you'll come to see GTC, but what we'll do is we'll extend our architecture with Grok as an accelerator in very much the ways that we extended NVIDIA's architecture with Mellanox.
The next question comes from Stacy Rasgon with Bernstein Research. Your line is open.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my questions. Colette, I wanted to dig a little bit into the call for sequential growth through the year. So, I mean, you grew this quarter more than $10 billion sequentially in data center, and the guide seems to imply, the bulk of the increase, $10 billion sequential in data center. So, how do you see that as we go through the year, especially as Rubin ramps into the back half? Blackwell has been a pretty massive acceleration for sequential growth. Should we expect something similar as we get to Rubin? And then I was also just hoping you could comment on your expectations for gaming. I understand the memory issues and everything else. Do you think gaming can still grow year over year in fiscal 27, or will that be under more pressure given memory? So those two questions, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy. Let me start with the revenue going forward. Again, we're trying to look at revenue quarter by quarter. As you think about the full year, we are absolutely going to be still selling and providing Blackwell, probably at the same time that we're also seeing Vera Rubin come to market. This is a very great architecture that helps them just today, quickly standing up, and have already planned on many different orders across the different customers to provide that. It's too early yet to determine how much in terms of that Vera Rubin, that beginning ramp will start in the second half, and we'll get through it. But no confusion in terms of the strong demand and the interest. We do expect pretty much every single customer to be purchasing Vera Rubin. The question is, how soon are we in market, and how soon are they able to stand that up in terms of in their data centers? That was your first part. The second part was focusing on our gaming. As much as we would love to have more supply, we do believe for a couple quarters it is going to be very tight. If things improve by the end of the year, there is an opportunity to think about what that is from a year-over-year growth. But it's still too early for us to know at this time, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Your next question comes from Atif Malik with Citi. Your line is open.
Thank you for taking my question. Jensen, I'm curious if you can touch on the importance of CUDA, as now more of the investment dollars in AI are coming from inference workloads.
Oh, without CUDA, we wouldn't know what to do with inference. The entire stack from TensorRT LLM that we introduced a few years ago, which is still the most performant inference stack in the world, optimizing it for NVLink requires us to discover and invent new parallelization algorithms that sits on top of CUDA to distribute the workload and the inferencing to take advantage of the aggregate bandwidth across NVLink 72. NVLink 72 has enabled us to deliver generationally 50 times more performance per watt. It's just an incredible leap, and it's sensible. NVLink 72 is a great invention. It was hard to do. the creation of the switching technology, disaggregating the switches, building the system racks, all of that, we did it all in plain sight, and everybody knew how hard it was for us to do. And but the results are incredible. So performance per watt is 50 times, performance per dollar 35 times. And so the leap in inference is incredible. It's very important. It's really important to realize that inference equals revenues now for our customers. Because agents are generating so many tokens and the results are so effective, when the agents are coding, it's off generating thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, because they're running for, minutes to hours. And so these systems, these agentic systems, are spawning off different agents working as a team. The number of tokens that are being generated is really, really gone exponential. And so we need to inference at a much higher speed. And when you're inferencing at a much higher speed, and each one of those tokens are dollarized, it directly translates into revenues. And so inference performance equals revenues for our customers. For the data centers, inference tokens per watt translates directly to the revenues of the CSPs. And the reason for that is because everybody is power limited. And so, no matter how many data centers you have, each data center, 100 megawatts or 1 gigawatt has power limits. So the architecture that has the best performance per watt translates, because each token, the performance tokens per watt, each token is dollarized. Tokens per watt translates to dollars per watt, which translates in a gigawatt directly to revenues. And so you could see that every CSP understands this now. Every hyperscaler understands this, that CapEx translates to compute. Compute with the right architecture translates to maximizing revenues, and compute equals revenues. Without investing capacity today, without investing in compute, there cannot be revenue growth. And that I think everybody understands. Compute equals revenues. Choosing the right architecture is incredibly important. It's more than strategic now. It directly affects their earnings. And choosing the right architecture, the one with the best performance per watt, is literally everything.
Your next question comes from Ben Reitzes with Melius Research. Your line is open.
Yeah, hey, thanks. First, let me say kudos on including the stock comp in non-GAAP. I think that's a great move, but that isn't my question. My question's around gross margins and the sustainability of the mid-70s long term. Should we read into the visibility on supply being available into calendar 27 that it's sustainable until then? And then, Jensen, what about after that? Are there innovations in memory consumption you can unveil that makes us feel better about the ability to keep margins at that level for a long time? Thanks.
The single most important lever of our gross margins is actually delivering generational leaps to our customers. That is the single most important thing. If we could deliver generationally performance per watt that exceeds dramatically what Moore's Law can do, if we can deliver performance per dollar dramatically more than the cost of our systems, than the price of our systems, then we can continue to sustain our gross margins. That's the simple, most important concept. The reason why we're moving so fast is because, number one, the demand for tokens in the world as a result of the inflection points that we've gone through has gone completely exponential. I think we're all seeing that, to the point where even our 6-year-old GPUs in the cloud are completely consumed and the pricing is going up. And so we know that the amount of computation necessary, the amount of compute necessary for the modern way of doing software is growing exponentially. And so our strategy is to deliver an entire AI infrastructure every single year. This year, we introduced 6 new chips. Rubin next generation will do many new chips as well. And every single generation, we are committed to deliver many X factors of performance per watt and performance per dollar. And that pace and our ability to do extreme co-design allows us to deliver that value and that benefit to the customers. And that is the single most vital thing as it relates to our value delivered.
Your next question comes from Antoine Chikaiban with New Street Research. Your line is open.
Hi, thanks a lot for taking my question. I'd like to ask about space data centers, which some of your customers are considering. How feasible do you think that is, and on what kind of horizon? And what do the economics look like today, and how do you think that could evolve over time? Thank you.
Well, the economics are poor today, but it's going to improve over time. As you know, the way that space works is radically different than how it works down here. There's an abundance of energy, but solar panels are large, but there's plenty of space in space. The heat dissipation, it's cold in space. However, there's no airflow, and so the only way to dissipate heat is through conduction. And the radiators that you need to create are fairly large. Liquid cooling is obviously out of the question because it's heavy and freezes, and so the methods that we use here on Earth are a little different than the way we would do it in space. But there are many different computing problems that really wants to be done in space, and so Nvidia is already the world's first GPU in space. Hopper is in space, and one of the best use cases of GPUs in space is imaging, to be able to image at extremely high resolutions using of course optics and artificial intelligence, and to be able to do that computation of reprojection of different angles and be able to up-res and do noise reduction and just be able to image at very high resolutions, extremely large scales, and very, very fast. It's hard to do that by sending petabytes and petabytes of imaging data back here on Earth and doing that work. It's easier just to do it out in space, and then ignore all of the data collected and processed until you see something interesting. And so artificial intelligence in space will have very good, very interesting applications.
Your next question comes from Mark Lipacis with Evercore ISI. Your line is open.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I want to pick up with the comment you made on the script about revenue diversification. I believe, Colette, you said that hyperscalers were over 50% of revenues, but growth was led by the rest of your data center customers. And as a clarification, I just want to make sure I understood that. Does that imply your non-hyperscale customers grew faster? And if so, can you help us understand what are the non-hyperscalers doing different? Are they doing different things than the hyperscalers, or the same things on a different scale? And do you expect this trend to continue? Would you expect your customer base to evolve to a point where non-hyperscalers become a bigger part of your the larger part of your business? Thank you.
Yes, let's see if we can help on this question. So when you think about our top 5, as we articulated as being our CSPs, our hyperscalers, and they have right now sat at about 50% of our total revenue. There's a big organization, therefore, of diversity of all different other types of companies that we are working with. That it goes through our AI model makers, that goes through our enterprises, that goes to supercomputing, it goes to our sovereigns. There's a lot of other different facts on there, but you are correct. It's a very fast-growing area as well. We have a strong position in terms of all of our different cloud providers on our platform, and now we also have an extreme diversity of different customers that we are seeing all the way across the world. And this will really benefit seeing that diversity and being able to serve all of those parts. I'm going to see if Jensen wants to add a bit more.
Yeah, this is one of the advantages that we have with our ecosystem, all built on top of CUDA. We're the only accelerated computing platform that is in every cloud, that's available through every single computer maker, available at the edge, and we're now cultivating telecommunications. Obviously, the future radios will all be AI-driven radios, and the future wireless network will also be a computing platform. That is a foregone conclusion, but somebody has to go and invent the technologies to make that possible. And we created a platform called Ariel to go do that. We're out in just about every single robot, every single self-driving car. Our ability, CUDA's ability, to have the benefit of the performance of specialized processors on the one hand, with the tensor cores inside our GPUs. On the other hand, the flexibility of CUDA allows us to solve language problems, computer vision problems, robotics problems, to biology problems, physics problems, and just about all kinds of AI and all kinds of computation algorithms. And so the diversity of our customer base is one of the greatest strengths that we have. The second thing, of course, is without our own ecosystem, even if our processor was programmable, if we didn't cultivate our ecosystem, and talking about some of the things that we're doing today, investing in our future ecosystem and continue to enhance our ecosystem. Without our ecosystem, it's hard for us to grow beyond what design wins we capture for somebody else's ecosystem. And so we could grow and expand our ecosystem very naturally because of our the platform that we created. And then lastly, one of the things that's really important is the partnerships that we have with OpenAI and Anthropic, with xAI, with Meta, now makes, and of course, just about every single open source in the world. There's 1.5 million AI models on Hugging Face. All of it runs on NVIDIA CUDA. And so an open source in totality probably represents the largest, it's the second largest model in the world. OpenAI is the largest. Second largest is probably all the collection of all the open sources. And so NVIDIA's ability to run all of that makes our platform super fungible, super easy to use, and really safe to invest into. And so that creates the diversity of customers and the diversity of the platforms, and available in every single country, and because we support the whole world's ecosystem.
Your next question comes from Aaron Rakers with Wells Fargo. Your line is open.
Yeah, thanks for taking the question. I guess, sticking with the idea of the platform and extreme co-design, some of the news over this last quarter has obviously been NVIDIA's ability or push to bring Vera CPUs to market on a standalone solution basis. So I guess, Jensen, I'm curious of what's the importance that Vera plays in this architecture evolution as we move forward? Is this being driven more by the proliferation or the heterogeneity of inference workloads? I'm just curious of how you see that evolving for NVIDIA, particularly on a standalone CPU basis. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And I'll tell you some more about it at GTC. But at the highest level, we made fundamentally different architecture decisions about our CPUs compared to the rest of the world's CPUs. It's the only data center CPU that supports LPDDR5. It is designed to be focused on very high data processing capabilities. And the reason for that is because most of the computing problems that we're interested in are data-driven, artificial intelligence being one. And the single-threaded performance in this ratio with bandwidth is just off the charts. And we made those architectural decisions because in the entire phase, the different phases of AI, from data processing, before you even do training, you have to do data processing. So you have data processing, pre-training, and in post-training now, the AIs are learning how to use tools. And the usage of tools, many of those tools run in CPU only environments, or they run in CPU with GPU accelerated environments. And Vera was designed to be an excellent CPU for post-training. And so some of the use cases in the entire pipeline of artificial intelligence includes using a lot of CPUs. We love CPUs as well as GPUs. And when you accelerate the algorithms to the limit as we have, Amdahl's law would suggest that you need really, really fast single-threaded CPUs. And that's the reason why we built Grace to be extraordinarily great at single-threaded performance. And Vera is off the charts better than that.
Your next question comes from Tim Arcuri with UBS. Your line is open.
Thanks a lot. Colette, I was wondering if you can talk about the deployment of capital. I know that you really jacked up the purchase commits, but it sounds like maybe you're over the hump on this, and you're going to probably generate about $100 billion in cash this year. So, and pretty much no matter how good the results have been, the stock hasn't really gone up much. So I would think that you probably feel like this is a pretty good price to be buying back a bunch of it here. So I was wondering if you can talk about that, question being, why not put a big stake in the ground and just, have a huge share repo here? Thanks.
So thanks for the question. We look at our capital return very, very carefully, and we do believe that one of the most important things that we can do is really supporting the extreme ecosystem that's in front of us, that stems from everywhere, from our suppliers and the work that we need to do to assure that we can have the supply that's needed and help them from a capacity, all the way that we are in terms of the early developers of the AI solutions that will be on our platform. So we will continue to make this a very important part of our process and strategic investments. But of course, we are still repurchasing our stock. We are still with our dividend as well. And we will continue to find the right unique opportunities within the year for doing those different purchases.
Your final question comes from Jim Schneider with Goldman Sachs. Your line is open.
Thank you for taking my question. Jensen, you've previously outlined the potential to get to 3 to 4 trillion of data center capex by 2030, which implies a potential acceleration in growth rates, which you've sort of guided to at least this next quarter. The question is, what are some of the key application areas that you believe are most likely to drive that inflection? Is that physical AI, agentic, or something else? And do you still feel good about that $3 to $4 trillion envelope? Thank you.
Yeah, let's back that up and just reason through it from a few different ways. So the first way is on first principles, the way that software is done in the future using AI is token driven. And I think everybody talks about tokenomics and talks about data centers generating tokens, and inference is about generating tokens. And we generate tokens. We were just talking about tokens, how NVIDIA's NVLink 72 enabled us to generate tokens at 50 times better performance per unit energy than the previous generation. And so token generation is at the center of almost everything that relates to software in the future and relates to computing. If you look at the way we use computing in the past, however, the amount of computation demand for software in the past is a tiny fraction of what is necessary in the future. And AI is here. AI is not going to go back. AI is only get better from here. And so if you think about it, and you said, okay, well, the world was investing about $300 to $400 billion a year in classical computing, and now AI is here, and the amount of computation necessary is 1,000 times higher than the way we used to do computing. The computing demand is just a lot higher. And so if if we continue to believe there's value in it, and we'll talk about that in a second, then the world will invest to produce that token. And so the amount of token generation capability that the world needs is a lot more than $700 billion. And I'm fairly confident that we're going to continue to generate tokens. We're going to continue to invest in compute capacity from this point out. And fundamentally, because every single company depends on software, every software will depend on AI. And so every company will produce tokens. And that's the reason why I call them AI factories. And whether you're a company in the cloud data centers, you have AI factories to generate tokens for your revenues. If you're an enterprise software company, you're going to generate tokens for the agentic systems that are on top of your tools. If you are a robotics factory, and self-driving cars, first indication of that, you have huge supercomputers, which are basically AI factories, to generate tokens that goes into your cars, that becomes its AI. And then you also have to put computers inside the cars to continuously generate tokens. And so we're fairly sure now that this is the future of computing. Now, why is it so certain that this is the future of computing? And the reason for that is because the way we used to do software was pre-recorded. Everything was captured a priori. We pre-compile the software, we pre-write the content, we pre-record the videos. But now everything is generative in real time. And when it's generated in real time, it can take into context of the person, the situation, the query, and the intentions could all be taken into consideration to generate the outcome of this new software we call AI, agentic AI. And so the amount of computation necessary is far, far greater than pre-recorded. Just as a computer has a lot more computation capability than a DVD recorder, a DVD player that was pre-recorded, artificial intelligence needs a lot more computing capability than the way we used to do software in the past. Now, the question about computation, about sustainability, at the first level is just at the computer science level. This is the way computing is going to be done. Now, from an industrial level, because all of our companies in the final analysis are powered by software, and the cloud companies are powered by software, and if the new software requires tokens to be generated, and the tokens are monetized, then it stands to reason that their data center build-out directly drives their revenues. And so compute drives revenues. And I think they all understand that. I think people are increasingly starting to understand that as well. And then lastly, the benefits that AI produces for the world ultimately has to generate revenues. And we're seeing right in front, right being developed as we see, as we stand here, agentic AI has turned an inflection point. And it literally happened in the last couple of 2-3 months. Of course, inside the industry, we've been seeing it for a while, probably 6 months or so. But the world is now awakened to the agentic AI inflection. The agents are super smart. They're solving real problems. Coding is obviously supported by agentic systems now. And all of our coders here at NVIDIA are using agentic systems, either Claude Code or OpenAI Codex, enormously to, and oftentimes both, and Cursor, oftentimes all three, depends on the use case. But they have agents and design partners, engineering partners to help them solve problems. And you could see their revenue skyrocketing. These companies, in the case of Anthropic, I think their revenues 10x in a year. And they are severely capacity constrained because demand is just incredible. And the token demand is incredible. The token generation rate is growing exponentially. And the same thing with, of course, OpenAI. Their demand is incredible. And so the more compute that they can bring online, the faster their revenues will grow. And that goes back to the comment that I was saying, that inference is revenues, that compute equals revenues now in this new world. And in a lot of ways, that's the reason why we say it's a new industrial revolution. There are new factories, new infrastructure being built, and this new way of doing computing is not going to go back. And so, to the extent that we believe that producing tokens is going to be the future of computing, which I believe, and I think largely the industry believes, then we're going to be building out this capacity from this point forward and continue to expand from here. Now, the thing that is the wave that we're seeing now is the agentic AI inflection, and the next inflection beyond that is physical AI, where we take AI and these agentic systems into the physical applications, such as manufacturing, such as robotics. And so that's a giant opportunity ahead. Okay.
This concludes the question and answer session. I'll turn the call to Toshiya Hari.
In closing, please note Jensen will be participating in a fireside chat at the Morgan Stanley TMT conference in San Francisco on March 4th. He'll also be giving a keynote at GTC in San Jose on March 16th. Our earnings call to discuss the results of our first quarter of fiscal 2027 is scheduled for May 20th. Thank you for joining us today. Operator, please go ahead and close the call.
All right, guys, so that is it. Honestly, YouTube's glitching. I figured out you could actually send emojis. And so if you want to communicate in the chat, you can send emojis, apparently. That's the only thing that works. Everybody else's chat's broken. Shout out to YouTube. Also, listen, Nvidia earnings are done. Tomorrow we have jobless claims unemployment. As soon as we close the stream, we're going to pivot you over to the jobless claims unemployment. We have done pretty well day trading. If you heard some noise, it's on my end. I've been day trading some of these moves. I'm probably... if you heard that noise, that's just me trading Nvidia right now. So I've been trading it off and on. We're very green on the day right now. It's a $300+ day. You love to see it. And again, apparently emojis work. I don't know about everything else, but just strange, man. Strange. Again, we had fake Nvidia results. We had YouTube chat glitching out, causing problems. And yeah, it's just odd. Very strange today, guys. Very strange. Anyways, if you want to help support the channel, listen, if you want to learn to day trade, do not fund your own account thousands of dollars trying to look cool. Most day traders lose. You'll probably lose your first couple accounts if you try to fund it 5, 10, 20, 30 grand. Makes no sense. If you want to learn to day trade, if you have the itch to learn, try Take Profit Trader or Apex Trader. Take Profit Trader gives you 40% off, no activation fees. Apex is currently 80% off. You can use promo code BG for both of them. And both of these, they give you a demo. They test your skill with a demo account. You pass the test, they fund you, same amount as the demo. If it's a 50K demo, you get funded 50K, 80% split. If you fail, you only lose the challenge fee, which is like $100 basically. And you get money off using my link, BG, Beginner Trading. Help support the channel. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. And I'm going to get out of here, guys. Again, very strange day. Again, jobless claims unemployment tomorrow. Y'all be good. Love to everybody here. I appreciate all the love. Thank you for the people who have been using my links. It's great to help support the channel. I know there's a lot of options. It's just a great way to help support the channel. I appreciate the love, guys. Thanks so much. We try to put everything out there for free. I told people a long time ago I wasn't going to have paywalls behind my content, and we're going to stick to that. And so, yeah, we appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Have a great day, guys. Have a great